Well, hello. My sources tell me it's actually Thursday, January 4th, 2018. But my shoulder pads are from a businesswoman's outfit in 1988. And this is Collider Movie Talk. I'm Ken Napzok. This is The Daily Show, where we break down all the movie news, some of it flying into my computer right now as we're talking. We're going to have a lot of fun with a little insight along the way. Hosting today is a good friend of mine. Sometimes we go at each other, but I love this man, John Rocha.
The love is mutual. The love is mutual. Welcome, everybody. Collider Movie Talk today. Wore my Collider green, my issued Collider green jackets to talk about stuff today. Getting ready. There's so much to talk about. We can talk about box office winners and losers. We got a bunch of trailers to cover. We got some news out of DC. So there's so much we got to cover today. So let's jump into it. But first, let me introduce the panel. To my right, as always, this week, the lovely Perri Nemiroff.
I didn't get one of those cool jackets. What is this?
Oh, sorry.
All I have is a T-shirt.
What?
A Collider I'm not wearing it now, but I have a Collider T-shirt right now. I'm in Jedi Council mode because I get to be on Jedi Council later, too.
Nice.
I'm really excited.
Oh, good plug, good plug. And then over to her right, Mark Reilly here.
Hi.
Two-time champ.
Hi. How's everybody doing today? What a fantastic Wednesday it is.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, sorry, Thursday.
Thursday. I'm still a day behind.
Yeah, well, you know, here we go. Let's do this.
Let's have some fun. Ken, what's the first story we have?
All right, guys. It's a Thursday. Happy Thursday, guys. Here we go. Our first story. We're going to take a look at the box office winners and losers of 2017. Our colleagues and friends over on Collider.com put out a great article. It is an in-depth article about all the winners and losers. So let's dive in. John Rocha, take us through the box office of 2017.
Yeah, Adam Chitwood did a fantastic job breaking this all down. There's a lot of films that Disney, 3 out of the top 5 films, amazing. Jedi is growing now more and more. Beauty and the Beast is the first one that we've got coming up here with these winners, right? Made $1,263 million and change. You find in the couch.
And change.
The Fate of the Furious made $1.2 billion. Star Wars The Last Jedi is just behind. And Despicable Me, Spider-Man Homecoming, something called Wolf Warrior 2, which I have no idea what that is, Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor Ragnarok, Wonder Woman, and Pirates of the Caribbean kind of finish out the top 10 list of winners worldwide. But with Beauty and the Beast, like I said, Disney had 4 out of the top 5 slots, so that's pretty incredible. Pirates of the Caribbean did pretty well overseas as well, so Disney has a lot to talk about here. But also, there were a lot of adult movies that Get Out grossed $254 million on a $4.5 million budget. Next time you hang out with Jordan Peele, the drinks are on him. Yeah. Logan was made for $97 million. It made $616 million worldwide. And then Dunkirk made $337 million overseas and $188 million domestically. It made more than The Mummy, War for Planet of the Apes, and Cars 3. And Wonder is really the most amazing thing. $20 million budget, and it made over $200 million worldwide. That's incredible. And of course, Wonder Woman has been fantastic. It made $409 million overseas and $412 million domestically, which is really unheard of to have a superhero film do more domestically, or do over half of its gross domestically rather than internationally. So that's pretty incredible stuff. But there are losers. And in the losers, you have to start talking about Justice League with what it made. You could consider it a bomb. It was made for $300 million in the production budget, but it overall made $700-something million, and you got to make 2.5 times your budget to start seeing a profit. Some of the other losers, Transformers: The Last Night. Got to admit that. I have defended that.
Is that hard for you, John?
It's really hard.
Is there bile in your throat?
Some things you got to admit. You got to admit when you lose and that loss. And then Cars 3 was the lowest grossing film for Pixar in quite some time, with only $383 million worldwide. And Coco has only made $550 million, and that's over $300 million less than Inside Out made. So there's a lot to digest in this list that Adam Chitwood did on Collider.com, and I encourage you to go read it and get some knowledge there. But I want to throw it out to you all. What is the biggest surprise for you, winner or loser? Perri, what is the biggest surprise film for you?
I'm going to go for what might be the most obvious when you toss that question to me and say it.
Right.
Because we actually were talking a little bit about this yesterday. We got a really great mailbag question. And I will say I never really expected it to make not just that much money, but then to crush the September and the fall records by as much as it did. And you kind of alluded to it a little when you were breaking it down. The idea that we have so many R-rated movies that are making a killing, no pun intended, but, you know, look at Split, look at Get Out. The fact that these movies are making a ton of money, that's really good for us horror lovers, and especially when you look at a movie like Logan 2, which also falls under the R-rated banner. And then going back to Deadpool, this is a good sign for anybody who likes something that, you know, gives you a little more blood and grittiness in your superhero movie. And I, for one, love fun, family-friendly adventures, but the fact that we could have both is really cool. The other thing I'm busy looking at is when you compare the studios, because like Disney all day long, and it's so much. I'm trying to read this Box Office Mojo chart right now, and they have it broken up into 2 columns. So Disney has something like $2.4 billion. It says movies tracked 12, but then it says 2017 movies 8, but that's besides the point. Just consider those numbers right now. The next one right behind it is Warner Brothers. They have just over $2 billion, but they have 33 movies tracked and 20 movies under that 2017 movies column. I mean, one way or the other, no matter what that is actually hinting at there, is Disney is making a ton of money on a smaller amount of movies. And when you consider the fact that we had the Disney-Fox merger, everything going forward just suggests that Disney is going to continue to crush it, and I mean just above and beyond.
And I think that's incredible because that's the narrative, right? People are like, oh, if you don't make a super, like Jodie Foster said earlier this week, right? Those kinds of things. Or the idea of, why are we getting so many movies? What about quality over quantity? Well, Disney seems to be adhering to that, definitely in terms of quality over quantity. And then you get this idea, all these R-rated movies, it made $700 million worldwide. That's incredible. And Star Wars The Last Jedi is officially now the top domestic earner. And in 3 weeks, it's averaging $364 million a week. And it hasn't even opened in China yet. So this is really incredible. Reilly, what stands out for you?
You know, actually, a big surprise is Jumanji jumping into the top 20 domestic. Opening a week after, or a few days. When did it open? Like a week after The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And just recently it came out that it overtook The Last Jedi on New Year's Day. Yeah. So showing, one, everybody went and saw Star Wars, and then they wanted to go out again and see Jumanji. And I think that's a great credit to good reviews, a good brand. I didn't think it would do it, but a good brand name, and then a great cast. And so that surprises me, and I think it's great. But the one I'm going to put in my crosshairs is one that I've been wanting to put in my crosshairs for a while.
Okay.
Which is Transformers The Last Night.
All right, go ahead.
And I am so happy to see that it is 500 million less.
Yeah.
That 500 million less than Extinction. So that shows me a lot of things. One, franchise fatigue. And that these audience, a wide audience now is going, okay, I've seen this. I've seen 4 movies, Michael Bay aside. I've seen these movies. They all look the same. And they are. They're all the same. The Last Night is just the same, but now we have time traveling elements, or not even time traveling elements, flashbacks with drunk Merlin wizards talking to big giant robots that have been on Earth since the dawn of time. Fine. but what it really shows me is worldwide, if you go to Extinction, worldwide it made over $1 billion.
Yep.
And $1.1 billion. And you go, okay, this on Extinction, you're like, oh boy, okay, this franchise is still going. And then you look at The Last Night and you go, ooh, 500 million less. No, it's not. So that puts a big question mark on. I think Michael Bay is finally done. I think Paramount will look at all this and go, okay, let's focus on Bumblebee, and hopefully they can restart something or goodwill with the audience. We have Travis Knight directing it. Hopefully we get a good Transformers movie, an actual good Transformers movie. Maybe it'll go. That's right, Rocha. You can shake your head all you want.
Yeah, you never know.
Those movies are not good, but Travis Knight has as good as anybody out there because of Kubo and the Two Strings.
Yep.
He can make a good Transformers movie, and Bumblebee, which we'll see next year.
Those 2 movies go back to that studio chart, too, because poor Paramount is listed at number 7, and there is no doubt that part of the reason it's so far down the list is because of Transformers. Also, I think I misspoke before. I think I said $2.4 billion. 2,410 billion. Basically, I was moving the decimal point over,
Oh my
which
God.
is highly inaccurate. But anyway, that's what the chart reflects. And then when you say Jumanji, Jumanji is what put Sony over that mark for this year. And when things like that happen so late in the game, that's huge. And it kept a studio like Sony in play.
Jumanji has been a fantastic, because when I was down there doing the junket, they said over and over again they just want to be able to compete and come in second. They didn't care. They obviously didn't have any aspirations to overtake Star Wars. They just wanted to come in second. The fact that what Reilly said, the fact that they surged past Star Wars in the box office on New Year's Day is an incredible accomplishment for that film. It shows you the power of Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart and Jack Black and of course Karen Gillan in that situation. And you do funny stuff, families will come and watch it. So I couldn't be happier for The Rock coming off what happened with Baywatch. Maybe not the most positive thing, so to see it coming back. Ken, what sticks out for you?
What sticks out for me? Well, first of all, you guys are all so intelligent. What a breakdown, Perry. I don't care if you moved to Justin Point.
I'm pretty sure I'm still reading the numbers wrong, actually, because I just re-looked at the chart. I'm like, something is not lining up.
I'm a little worried, though, that your excitement for fun family adventures. Now, Jumanji's great. That's good. But you were so I like good family adventures. Come on. Get dirty with an R-rated
I just saw
Logan with us.
Paddington
Come on.
last night. Give me a break. I'm very
The
high on
mindset.
that kind of movie
Good.
right
What
now.
sticks out to me, it's not, none of this is really surprising, right? This is what you would think the business to go. This is what it's designed to do. That I say that in a good way. Like, there's some good, solid investments here. Justice League at number 10. John, did it make its money back? John, did they make money off the Superman picture?
Let's tell the truth here.
Superman wasn't in that movie.
Well, he was.
Whoa.
Spoiler.
Throw that hot take.
We're not trying to bash DC. Like, everybody's coming out. These are the numbers. These are the facts. $300 million budget. Worldwide, it is behind Thor. It is behind Thor Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. These are sequels.
Yeah.
It's behind sequels. Obviously, it's behind one of Spider-Man Homecoming is a reboot, and it's behind that. So you have to say this is a colossal mistake, and so they have to kind of course correct. And it seems like that's what's going to happen, right, Ken?
Yeah, there might be some stuff we're going to talk about here shortly that shows that they're going to be what'd you call it? A course correction?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like a very good
Another
business term.
course correction.
Very good business
should
term
say.
there. But other than that, I mean, I could personally I lose Boss Baby at 17 domestically, 175 million, only because I had to retire from stand-up comedy because I was considered a smart comic, which is code for the audience thinks you're not funny. And I see people are like, that baby's talking. Let's go watch the baby talk. Like 175 million
It's
of
insane.
you. I know Perry and her family are going to see it, and that's fun. And yeah, Transformers. That's a good sign. Well, a good sign, unless you're John Rocha. But John, what he says, franchise fatigue. I'm hearing this franchise fatigue. But Marvel. Their franchise is still going strong, and I love Marvel stuff, but it's a bit of lather, rinse, repeat with a cool package. What are they doing? What that Transformers can catch up to?
I think DC and the Transformers franchise are very similar in that they have one good film that really stands out that everyone uniformly likes. Everybody likes the first Transformers movie for the most part.
For the most part.
Everybody likes Wonder Woman, definitely. Possibly Man of Steel. Some people on the panel.
hell yeah.
Right? Me too. But it's not overwhelmingly the one that people. So there's a lot of. So eventually, they were making them. Suicide Squad made money. The other films made money. Eventually, you hit that wall where the audience goes, fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 7 times, enough already, I can't keep going. And I think that's what happened with the Transformers film. I think that's what happened in the end with Justice League, and you have to make the changes. It's not a coincidence that studios make these changes because they realize they're not making that money, and they're not getting the fans excited again to come back and see it multiple times. That's where they make their money, is people going back and seeing it multiple times. People can afford it. I don't want to get into that again, but people can afford to go see a film multiple times. That's how they do it. And they're just not, it's not happening. And unfortunately, these are the mistakes that studios are going to pay for, right?
Perry, was Boss Baby funny?
I thought it was cute. Ken, I think you would enjoy it, but I think I'm going to recommend Paddington 2 a little more
there you
right
go.
now.
Paddington. I grew up a little bit with Paddington,
Paddington
on VHS. You know what I mean?
Is something else.
all right.
Both of those movies, not to get way off track here, but everybody needs the joy that Paddington can bring to your life right now.
No, get off track. You've got a Paddington plush in your office. I saw you holding it earlier.
I do.
wow.
Yeah. I brought home a cute little the pop-up book that factors into the story of the movie
Yeah.
to my cousin for the holiday.
I
and-
love pop-up books. It's the only books me and Mark Ellis read. John, should we get to this
Yes, let's get to the
breaking
next thing.
story here?
Yes,
this
breaking
one
story.
broke this morning while I was having my morning constitutional. New line in production EVP Walter Hamada is now moving over to the DC brand. He'll be working for Warner Brothers. And, you know, Warner Brothers Group President Toby Emmerich has been building kind of this super team of people in charge of DC. We know Jeff Johns is there, but now Hamada will be, this is a great title on a business card. I'm jealous of it. President, DC-based film production, Warner Brothers. He's going to have an office off of Olive and Barham, John. They're going to
Yeah.
move him a little bit more into the
Oh, you
studio.
say Barham, not Barham.
Barham.
Okay.
What do you say? Barham?
Barham.
I say Barham.
The H is silent, son. All right, go ahead.
Is that like Fountain?
It's
and not
like Jeff
Fountain?
Johns. You don't go Jeff Johns. You go Jeff Johns, right?
Barham. All right.
Cool Whip.
That's some local
Cool
Californians say. You make olive, Barham's turns into olive. It's confusing.
The Californians.
All right.
Yeah.
Big breaking news, though. Course
is-
correction.
We saw this was coming for quite some time, so we see it happening now. He started as an assistant at TriStar and became the VP of production at Columbia Pictures. So this guy has a very strong resume as he's come along. You know, he shepherded a number of films, the Conjuring franchise. It's reaped $1.2 billion worldwide. That matters, off of production costs that are under $82 million. That's incredible. So the guy has a track record. It, right, was a huge success as well. So he has a track record of turning small budgets into large amounts of money. So is he the right person to come in charge? Because he's not going to be showy. He's not going to be grandstandy, it seems. And they're kind of relieving Jeff Johns of some of those duties from what we're reading here in these articles. Perri, what does this say to you?
I don't really know what to make of this. And when I first heard this news, I was sure that when this news finally did break, it was going to be a name that maybe we were a little more familiar with, where when we heard the name, it was almost like a sigh of relief. And, you know, maybe that is a good change to have. And I'm not saying that Hamada is a bad choice. It's just that when I do look at his lineup of films, nothing on there besides the fact that he's been tied to New Line and Warner Brothers really suggests to me that, oh, he is the right person to course correct, as we are saying. But if he does have a good relationship with the higher ups at Warner Brothers, that is something of value. The Conjuring franchise is doing well and continues to expand. But as much as I love the Conjuring franchise, I look at those movies and we're talking about two completely different types of movies on two completely different scales. Really, I think the only thing that puts him in line with us talking about DC movies is because it made a crazy amount of money that nobody ever saw coming. So I'm glad that that's there, but I almost wish that with this announcement came an official statement. Something from someone at Warner Brothers, maybe a quote from Hamada, just, I don't know. I think what I'm wanting right now is a little personal passion for DC properties. I know he was involved a little in Shazam and developing that,
right.
but I want word from him to say, I want to be here, I want to do this right, and this is the direction I'm going
Right,
in.
Hamada didn't say anything, but Emmerich came out and said Walter is creative, resourceful, and committed to excellence and will bring those qualities to his oversight of our superhero films. He's a terrific production executive and served as an executive producer on two of the summer's most popular films, New Line's It and Annabelle Creation. I'm confident Walter and Jeff, working with our filmmaking partners, will deliver films that will resonate with both broad global audiences. My concern, Reilly, I throw to you, pretty much all he's done is horror. Does this worry you? Because turning small budgets into a lot of money is great, but once you get into a larger sandbox with a bigger toolbox or bigger playpen, what are you going to do in this situation? Do you think he's got the shot to do it?
It's very vague right now because you don't know the level of involvement he had with the Conjuring franchise. I know they're mentioning these hot properties that have done well, like It. You can sell a headline, It producer going to run DC films, but how much was he involved? Because It is such a fantastic movie. You know I love it. It's now one of the highest grossing movies of the year, the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. So here we go. But how hands-on was he?
Yeah.
That's the question, because if he was very hands-on and he was very creative and New Line was like, you guys do your thing and we get It and we get The Conjuring, great. This is perfect. But then I go back to 2016, May of 2016, where they restructured DC Films for the first time by bringing in Berg and by promoting Johns. we're not even 2 years later, and we're getting another restructuring.
It's essentially a reboot, Mark.
It's essentially a
You're
reboot.
rebooting the
So
whole
now
thing?
we're having another guy come in, and they're throwing all these things out there, and they're saying, well, he was it. He was doing it, and he was doing Conjuring. He's great friends with James Wan, and he's fine. But your track record now, you haven't even had 2 years, and you're telling me you're going to restructure this thing again, and you're going to throw this guy at me that I've never heard of. I'm sorry, I've never heard of this guy. But when you put his prestige and his credentials there with it and Conjuring, the horror fan in me goes, great. But again, how involved was he?
Yeah.
What was he doing there that makes you go, well, he can handle DC films? And to your point, Perry, is he a comic book fan? Does he know the lore? Does he go in and go, oh, I know in The Death of Superman that, this happened to Clark Kent and they did this storyline and we really blew it with Justice League by not putting him in the black suit. So now we got to bring this, is he going to walk in there with a presence and go in there and go, you know what? We need to do this because in Conjuring and we do this. Perry, I know you had something to say.
Even hearing, going right off of what you just said, hearing that quote, because I wanted a quote so badly. That to me sounds like a business quote,
Yes,
not
of course.
a personal quote. And I think fans right now need something personal to give you real hope that matters.
And,
you know,
and is Warner Brothers going to literally give if DC Films? Are they going to let him do his thing? Because you need a creative visionary to steer the ship, like a Kevin Feige or like somebody in the Star Wars universe. I know Kathleen Kennedy, take it or leave it. There's conversations there that we'll have later on Jedi Council, I'm sure. But is he going to get the creative freedom to do it? Because if he goes in there to another cooks in the kitchen, he's like another cook and puts on another hat and enters the fray, and we get Suicide Squad 2 that just is the same thing. 2 years from now, we're going to get another announcement that they're restructuring DC Films again?
Yes, let's hope not, because I mean he worked with James Wan on Aquaman, so he's got some access to this DC. So we'll see what happens, what the sequels. Maybe we'll get that Man of 2 sequel, Man of Steel 2 sequel that people talk about, or the Suicide Squad sequel. We'll see.
But doesn't Jeff Johns knows enough about comics?
Of course
obviously.
he does.
That's his bread and butter. So you get some guy in a nice three-piece suit. This was a great picture.
Man can wear a suit.
Man can wear a suit. It's like an NFL team or something. So-and-so has been named the director of football operations. Who's on the field? That's what really matters. Can this guy put the players on the field? That, I think, is the big question. Absolutely. And this is, you're talking about rebooting the structure. I like what this very businessy term, we're evolving the unit.
Oh,
things change over
that's
time.
fancy. Yeah, that's
It's
fancy.
all
what I
spin.
mean?
It's all
You know
spin.
what I
It's
mean?
smart, though. It's smart. Speaking of sequels, what do we got next year, Ken?
All right, we have got a sequel confirmation from Netflix. The much talked about Bright movie, and that's not always a good thing, is getting a sequel revealed yesterday on Twitter in a little fake acting audition piece there.
Yeah.
David Ayer will return to direct and write the second movie. The writer of the first movie not involved with this one, and that's probably a good thing. With Will Smith and Joel Edgerton expect to return for their follow-up. Despite scathing reviews for the movie, Nielsen reported that an average of 11 million U.S. Netflix users streamed Bright during its first 3 days of release. No release date has been targeted for the sequel at this time. So, hey, sometimes those negative reviews don't translate into bad things, John.
Well, the production budget was $90 million. So what is 11 million people seeing it? What is that like? What does
How
that
much of
translate
that was
to?
Will Smith?
Yeah, right.
I think
Will Smith.
I saw a tweet from Jeff Snyder who basically
The
said
In-Snyder?
The In-Snyder who
Yeah.
basically said if you were to take an average ticket price and then times it by however many people watched it on Netflix, you'd look at about a 98 million opening weekend for Will Smith. I
Right.
think he put it that way, which is not bad.
Okay.
Not bad.
But if your production budget is 90 million,
But
it's-
that's opening weekend.
Right.
So then how many
Opening
more
weekend.
people are going to download this thing? Like for me, when I then started streaming this thing and went, what the hell am I watching? This thing is...
yeah, and the 11 million that watched is only just TV. They haven't factored in computer or mobile device views either. So there's a lot going on for it. But we should talk to somebody who actually liked the movie, unlike pretty much every other critic in the world. Perri Nemiroff.
I don't care.
No, I'm just saying.
You liked
So,
it? Oh, that's good.
I didn't watch the movie when it first came out because I didn't have time and it was the holidays and I was trying not to do that every single day of my life. But last night I decided to watch it because we were talking about it today, and I thought that maybe I would just watch a little of it just to get a sense, and then I would go to bed at a normal hour and I'd wake up all well rested. I didn't want to turn it off. I'm not saying it's an incredible movie. I think the world building is interesting and impressive. I think that some of the stuff, if you've seen it with the wand and the elves in particular, is very underdeveloped and uninteresting. But the heart of this movie are those two characters. It's Will Smith and Joel Edgerton, and together they are so charming and so much fun to spend time with. They do some really interesting things in the movie too, where so much, I'm sure you've seen the trailer, so much of it is crazy action and explosions and a lot of gunfire, but then every so often they'll just let the camera sit on a two-shot and the two will have this really awkward banter back and forth. I really just found the two of them really charming together, and if they're going to make another movie and they're going to be at the heart of it, I'm gonna be happy to watch it.
Well, I'm all on board Will Smith. Making that money comment, not making Will Smith is Will Smith for a reason. This guy has charisma. I'd watch him in a lot of things, so this makes some sense. And Edgerton, hey, Uncle Owen from the prequels, you can't go wrong there. So, your take on it is interesting. Don't believe Mark Reilly all the time. That's the lesson here.
I just with David Ayer writing, I think also could be a positive, because I don't think they delve deep enough into the systemic discrimination and racism that can occur at times. That's what they were supposed to shadow. So hopefully David Ayer will do a little more exploration than a certain somebody did the first time around in his version. So anyway, let's move on to a new segment that we have called Agree or Disagree, Yay or Nay, Buy or Return, See or No. Please,
See or no.
Please, Ken.
See or no.
Drop it.
Es verdad.
Or no. Buy or sell, or whatever you want to call it. Topic one. Slender Man trailer reveals that the film adaptation of the Creepypasta forum, which is, this is all scary for me, but Screen Gems has released the first trailer for Slender Man. The Losers Sylvian White directs a film which takes place in a small Massachusetts town where 4 high school girls perform a ritual. They always are performing rituals in an attempt to debunk the Slender Man myth. But when one of the girls goes missing, they begin to suspect Slender Man is real. The documentary was scary. I couldn't get past the trailer. John, you watched this trailer?
The trailer was interesting. It was a little scary, but it was an unusual trailer. So I've never seen, I don't know who the production house is who did this trailer, but I've never seen a horror trailer delivered quite this way. So it was interesting approach to doing a horror film, because you don't see Joey King through the whole, there's like one shot of Joey King, who's the lead actress, as she's turning around, and that's the only shot you get of her. But
maybe they're hiding her after Wish Upon.
Yeah, maybe. Ooh. There's a lot, but there's a lot here because
that
this
was like the meanest thing I've said in a while.
Jerry just went into it.
Well, Wish Upon sucks, so.
Sick burn.
But Bright was good. But this is, so what we've got, this idea also is related to a tragedy, because these girls, there's real people, like the father came out and thought it's popularizing a tragedy is what it's doing. So it calls it extremely distasteful. So Perri, do you think this is a film that should even be being made because it's on the backs of actual stuff that's happening between, won't this spread this possibility happening again with other people?
Before even getting into that, just separating myself from the reality of what happened, it's a bad trailer. It's not a trailer. It's a teaser trailer. And for somebody who knows nothing about Slender Man, one, this doesn't teach you anything about Slender Man. It doesn't teach you anything about why Slender Man sparked Creepypasta and became what that legend wound up being. And then it also tells you next to nothing about that story. It is not compelling.
The true story?
No. The story as presented in the film.
Oh, okay.
But then going back to the true elements, and particularly that incident and the Beware the Slender Man documentary, it actually wasn't on my mind when I sat down to do the trailer reaction with Josh yesterday. And then as we were watching it, all of a sudden, it like flooded right back to me, and something about it, because you guys well know how much I love my campy teens get picked off one by one horror movies. Something felt wrong about watching this, especially given the nature of Creepypasta and how a legend like Slender Man can manipulate some young people. And with someone like Joey King and the other cast members in this, that's the generation that this movie is targeting, and it didn't sit right with me.
Yeah, Reilly, we've heard the stories of what happened on the Poltergeist set, like legitimate stories of people dying, things of that kind of situation, like years later, all this kind of stuff. Is this, do you agree with Perri? Is this dangerous to be creating a film like this? Are they courting danger for themselves?
I look.
Talking about magic?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
mysticism.
Listen, with this, it's an interesting, there's so many different levels to this new brand that they're creating here. With the Creepypasta forum, people have added to the legend of Slender Man. They would write, they would continue these things, they would do drawings. If it became, somebody created a video game, all these different things. But then a reality set in. Something tragic happened. And these girls thought that Slender Man told them to actually try and kill their friend. So they take her out into the woods and they try and kill her. This is a tragedy, and the father is right for coming at me. I think it's you could ask, if we're doing agree, disagree, do you agree or disagree that this movie shouldn't be made when it's coming on the heels of a documentary that delved into that is going to be more creepy, that's going to be more horror, that's going to be more terrifying than anything you've ever seen, which is Slender Man, which is this documentary that breaks down, and you watch these two girls sit legitimately talking to cops going, why'd you kill your friend?
Right.
Why'd you try to kill your friend? And they're just, well, Slender Man told me, and you are just chilled to the bone.
So, Ken, do you agree or disagree that this film should be made?
I agree that it should be made.
It should.
Out of due respect for the father and the victims of that particular incident, because we're going to be talking about a movie with a lot of guns and shooting with Bruce Willis in a second there. Should that be made in these times? You know, in my hometown, there was a girl murdered in a satanic ritual, and it's really bad, but it's also a gripping story. I can understand someone being attracted to it. I wouldn't want to see that story because it's something that was personal. So I understand the father. It's not disrespect to that.
Right.
But, you know, should we not make a movie about World War II? My grandfather fought in that, as I'm sure a lot of our relatives fought in that. I look at you know, Call of Duty games, and I'm like, my grandfather was a better player at that game in real life. But it's something that's just where culture is. So I'm intrigued by this story. So go ahead, make it.
Doing it far enough away from the actual incident and doing it in a tasteful, worthy way. My mind immediately goes back to Patriots Day, that movie where I went in and I was super uncomfortable with the idea of seeing a movie like that so soon after the actual incident. And, you know, it's not completely factual. I know that Mark Wahlberg was not a real person and he didn't factor into the story that exact way as they present him in the movie. There's something about the message of that movie at the end that makes you want to unite and fight back and celebrate the heroes of that day. And I think if you find something good in it, where it's not just taking that terrible thing and then turning it into a potential horror cash cow to lure in young moviegoers, that's bad.
All right, well,
I'm going to cut you off early, but like, it's like, I love the movie Pain and Gain. I was like, that was great. I like Wikipedia. What's the story? Oh, that's a pretty dark version of that.
That escalated quickly.
Question. That's what I'm talking about.
These are things we have
There's
to
ways to do
because
it.
United 93 came out just after that, and that was a fantastic, unsettlingly real depiction of what happened on 9/11. And so you're walking that line, but something like this, which is more can influence danger, I think is difficult.
I think they missed the boat on this Slender Man story, actually, because this is a completely different story that they're creating to make the Slender Man now a new iconic villain in horror.
Right.
I mean, I think that's what anybody wants a franchise. Look, these you know, don't get me wrong. They are looking at this as a potential franchise. But much like The Conjuring did, based on true events, if you were to take the documentary and make the movie, these girls then were told by Slender Man, so they say in these chilling interviews, so they say Slender Man told them to kill their friend. Base that on that. And then Slender Man comes to them and their dreams at night, and then you have your horror elements, and it's based on a true story, and you have what literally happened, but you expand upon it, and you add more, you know, supernatural elements. You create the Slender Man. I think that would have been a better take than this. In this trailer, it was so weird. It was just, it had no narrative. It was just kind of, let's show you a lot of creepy images, and you're going to show up.
Well, speaking of supernatural, there's someone who lived through a train crash and was in a film called Unbreakable. He's got a movie coming out. Again, what's our next thing?
I like that segment.
All right, next, what are we calling it? Purchase or decline? Bruce Willis.
See it or no. See it or no.
All right, he's killing some dudes in the new Death Wish trailer and poster. MGM has released a new Death Wish trailer based off the 1974 Charles Bronson film with the same name. The movie stars Mr. Willis as Dr. Paul Kersey, becomes a vigilante after his wife and daughter are the victims of a home invasion helmed by hostile director Eli Roth. The film opens on March 2nd. Dean Norris, Camilla Moroni, and Vincent D'Onofrio, Private Pile, in this movie as well. And I'll say, as long as they have the scene from, I think, Death Wish 2 or 3 or 4, where Bronson launches a rocket launcher at a guy, as long as that's in this movie, I'm on board. John?
Look, there's a lot of me is not happy that this film is being made. I'm not a big fan of Eli Roth's films. Hostel, Green Inferno, that's just not my thing. Just not my thing at all. I know I may be against the horror people on the panel, but I like this trailer. I really did. And some people are like, oh, it's a bit insensitive because he's wearing a hoodie and he's a white guy. There's that sways in this trailer. You hear the rap music in this trailer. He's helping a black child there, getting away from people who getting caught in the crossfire. So he's an equal opportunity vigilante, which is what you want to see. And there's also desperation near the end of the trailer from Bruce Willis when he's like, no one else is going to do this. So there is this feeling sometimes in certain communities that someone has to step up. And it is a Hollywood fantasy because you never hear about vigilantes. Bernie Getz, maybe, those kinds of things. They're really rare. So this whole person who, if they had a gun at the right time, my concern is that poster. How far would you go to protect your family? I think nowadays with all the political debates that are happening about guns and the NRA and all this kind of stuff, it's a really dangerous line to walk. That being said, I do enjoy the trailer. I wish Elizabeth Shue had stuck around longer in the trailer because I love her. But I also like the fact that there's only 8 years age difference between Bruce Willis and Elizabeth Shue. This makes sense. If this was a Tom Cruise movie, the actress would have just been out of college and they'd be married, which drives me insane. So anyway, I give this a stamp of approval. Perri,
Until
what
it
did you
happens to you in real life.
Well, maybe. Perri, what do you think?
Yeah, I hear all the complaints about this, and I'm not going to say that I didn't see it, but when I try to remove myself from that and make an effort to, I guess, just view it as a piece of entertainment, it's still not really for me. I never really cared when they announced this at all. The only reason that I was mildly intrigued is because I'm not saying I like every movie Eli Roth has ever made, but I do like a lot of his stuff, and the idea of pairing him with this material and Bruce Willis, that sounded like an interesting combination to me, but really, I think the bigger problem is that I just didn't get anything out of this trailer. And isn't this the second trailer we've seen already?
Yeah.
I feel like at this point, I need to care a little more about him and get a little more excited about him. And after I watched this, my mind immediately jumped to how much more excited I am about a second Equalizer movie, which is not good for this one.
Do you agree, Reilly? Do you think this combination of Bruce Willis and Eli Roth is a good combination? Are you excited to see this? Because Perri's not excited. Are you excited?
I'm not.
So you
I'm
agree?
not. I mean, I agree with Perri, and I disagree with Eli Roth's choice that he should have directed this over Meg. He could have directed that. He was signed up to direct a giant shark movie. What happened, man? That's your bread and butter right there.
Right.
I disagree with your choice in directing Death Wish remake, whatever the hell this is, because this trailer looks like Bruce Willis is kind of phoning it in. Kind of.
Interesting.
It's been the last 10 years of Bruce Willis's career. It looks like me and Harloff at meetings.
And when exactly. and that's what I got from him. I said, that looks like Ken Napzok and Christian Harloff. But there is a slight twinkle in his eye, and I think the hoodie reference is throwing a little something back to a little imagery motif from Unbreakable. I think that's legitimately a callback to his character in Unbreakable, just the hood there. But look, it seems like an uninspired reboot. It seems like we've seen it. I mean, conversations aside about, guns and violence and families and hoodies and all this stuff, this is a movie. This is a brand that's been made for many years. We know what Ken Napzok said. Yes, Charles Bronson at one point shot a rocket launcher at somebody and blew him out of the street. So let's, you see it in this. It's very hyper reality violence. And if you like that type of thing, go see this. I hope Bruce Willis is going to, do something nice because he's filming Glass right now.
Yeah.
So I want to see what he's got.
If anyone has experience taking a character and putting it into the most unreal situations, it's Bruce Willis with John McClane. So it makes sense that he would jump into a Death Wish situation. What's our next item there, Ken Napzok?
Final one in Agree or Disagree to Buy or Sell. Blumhouse coming off a big year. 2017 was great for Blumhouse. Get Out, Split, Happy Death Day. Will they release a trailer for Truth or Dare? Co-written and directed by Kick-Ass 2 director Jeff Wadlow. I didn't watch it. I get scared easily, as you guys know. And last time I played Truth or Dare, I had to admit I've never kissed a woman. So, John, how was this?
Listen, this is not for me. This is not my demographic at all, son. This kind of it was weird, that Joker faces. But I will say,
I did see that.
I will say,
love that Joker.
The line of the trailer is something really weird has been going on ever since Mexico. You could put that on my tombstone. That is absolutely my life story. That's the story of my biography.
There's doctors for that, John.
That's Rosarito's been it's been a long time, for 2 decades, paying that price. So, but there's Lucy Hale from Pretty Little Liars is in this thing. Tyler Posey from Teen Wolf. Jesse Quick, Violet Bean from The Flash is in this thing. You see her in, I think that's her in the blonde hair. So with the success of Get Out, should Blumhouse be trying to elevate their stock instead of kind of going back into this kind of schlocky horror that's almost like you've seen this before a million times?
Perri
Nemiroff?
Because it's Blumhouse, there is a teeny tiny piece of me that is hopeful that there is more to this than what we got in this trailer. But this trailer is awful. This trailer, it's like for folks out there who don't like these kinds of horror movies and they make fun of me for liking them so much. I have no argument against that with this trailer. There is nothing that exciting about it. They almost had it at the very beginning. Admittedly, the dialogue at that opening scene where they're like, oh, like Olivia this and Olivia that, like that's nonsense. But the second that they get to him and he's like, I needed to get you in here to get a group of friends, that was interesting. And that felt very It Follows to me. But then it was just, I mean, they basically reveal the whole movie. I guarantee you I could pick the final three, who they're going to be after watching this trailer. I think this looks awful.
Do you agree, Reilly? Does this all look awful to you?
Well, you want to play Truth or Dare? What
face.
the hell is going on with these people? All of a sudden, they're smiling from ear to ear. They become the Joker, and then you die. Yes, I agree with you, Perry. This trailer was a little bit ridiculous, including. I'm sorry, when the dude on the pool table. That was the most ridiculous moment for me.
What are you talking about? It looked like Cody Hall at his bachelor party.
That was a lot of, that looked like fun. But when he like, all of a sudden he's like up there dancing and then he's like, you're right. Truth or Dare. And then falls in this horrible death and they showed you everything. So I'm not spoiling this movie for you. The nice people at Universal have done that for us. But I wish that I liked this more. I'm all for a good, fun horror movie. This didn't get me. It seemed a little outside of Blumhouse's wheelhouse, meaning smarter, more like edgy, fun horror movies. And interesting enough, now they're kind of slapping a brand on their movies like Marvel Studios' Doctor Strange or Marvel Studios' Avengers Infinity War. Now we have Blumhouse's Truth or Dare.
Do you agree with this, Perry? Do you agree with Blumhouse?
Well, the first trailer that I thought about after I watched this one from Blumhouse was Happy Death Day. And when I watched that trailer, it was like a little bit of a cheesy, unique take on an idea like that. And this feels similar in that respect, except this goes the wrong way with it. And there's no doubt that they're going to try to make this the Truth or Death series where, like The Purge, we see another group of friends, if this movie does well, go through that. I will say, though, there's one actor in here who I'm really excited to see again. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
Hayden Seto. He's the one from Edge of 17, which is on TV like every single day now. And he is freaking delightful in that movie. And I haven't seen him in anything since. So good for him.
All right. Well, Truth or Dare, I'm going to take Truth. And the truth is that we like to read your questions here on Movie Talk, so please send them at Collider Video right now on Twitter. We'll get to Ken will read a couple as we get around to it. But let's do some plugs. Another video in our top 50 best superhero movies of all time is now up for you to check out and complain about and love and bitch about and tell us we're all crazy. Go ahead and go down there to YouTube and take a look at that and watch that. Wonder Woman, you all went insane about it. Some of you supported it, some of you didn't, but there was a lot of comments, so thanks so much. An all-new Heroes dropped yesterday. Stay tuned for an all-new Jedi Council later today with the lovely Perri Nemiroff. Mark, are you on this? Ken, are you on this?
I am, sir. I am.
Absolutely. This is great stuff. And then check out all the Schmodown Spectacular videos that are up for Schmodown Spectacular 2. There's 3 of them up there. I'm in the 3rd one, hint, hint. So go and watch those there. But we also have a plug for a new show, the 3rd episode, I think, of the new show, Ladies Night. So we got a little promo.
Yeah.
Vicky Creeps from Phantom Thread. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it. It's the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie. With Daniel Day-Lewis. There you go.
There
old man
is.
stuff.
Get that out of there.
Hello.
Let's
clear
the throat.
Let's clear the deck for some real good.
Cody, get the spittoon.
Alicia Gaynor. Are you on this one, Perry? Are you on this one?
was,
Alicia Gaynor, Perri Nemiroff. Let's take a look at the promo right now.
Ooh, the slurping does help with the heat, though.
There you go, ladies' night. I hope to be invited on there. I want to do the theme song. I want to go, it's late as night. Oh, yeah, it's late as night. But I don't think they'll let me do it because it's
Probably
ladies'
not.
night and I'm a dude. So anyway, let's get to your Twitter questions. Ken, do you have any lined up for us from our fans?
I absolutely do. I hope you guys out there using the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. I can find it a lot easier, but some of you are responding to me on Twitter at Napzok and Collider Video, like J. Scott St. Clair, who first asked, "Could I get a birthday shout out?" No. So what other film genres? What other film genres other than horror that could benefit from a low-budget Blumhouse approach to filmmaking? What are other film genres that could benefit?
I
from
only
this
heard
type of
that.
approach?
Film genres that would benefit from the
That could-
Blumhouse approach.
From a low-budget Blumhouse approach. We talk about Blumhouse. What can you say?
I would love a superhero studio that does the smaller stuff, like Blade used to be. These smaller titles that are out there that have, if they could do it for a small budget but get a large return, there's a lot of characters that aren't necessarily going to appear. Like Guardians of the Galaxy really does that. You've got Adam Warlock coming in. Like these are the smaller characters. They can do that for lesser budget and see how it works. Like you see that happening on the Netflix TV shows. That works. I would love to see a studio do that.
I'm going to say something that's never going to happen, but I'm going to say it anyway.
All right.
I want to see, maybe even Blumhouse and horror style, a super low budget Star Wars movie. Something very personal, very character driven. I know that the masses go to see big space battles, stuff like that, but I'd be really intrigued to see that. And also, I'd like to see a Star Wars horror movie. I read the Death Troopers book. It's not canon. It's not that great, but there's some interesting ideas there that I think would suit a movie really well.
Riley?
I love you snuck in a Star Wars horror in there for a low budget. I mean, yeah, sorry, my filmmaking mind goes to, like, when you say a superhero movie, like, I think Chronicle, that's on, like, a smaller budget, and you can do it. You can do anything on a small budget. It's the way you tell your story. I think, you know, a Western is coming to mind right now for me, because you could really focus on, like, a couple characters. You know, low budget means, you know, how much money you're going to spend. So when you think Western, that's a period piece. You got to go, you know, find locations. You got to go find the costumes. You got to do these things. But for me, that would be an interesting one, because you could do it on a $5 million budget and focus on a very, like, wouldn't it be cool, like, you know, Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp, you know, stuck in the desert, and they have to fight their way out of something, and it's their relationship movie, just the two of them, road trip, Western style, $5 million budget. I would love to see something like that.
I'll be your Huckleberry in the desert.
Yeah.
Ken, what do we have next?
All right, David Wilson at David Pockets 90. He asks, "Hey guys, what is a canceled film project that you would give anything to see?" For him, it is Stanley Kubrick's Napoleon epic he worked on for his whole career. Some thoughts on this one, guys?
Yeah, the Vega brothers, Quentin Tarantino. He was going to do Michael Madsen, John Tarantino, John Travolta in the Vega brothers. I would have killed to see that. Like, I would have killed to see that movie. It's too late now. They're old.
I'll have a better answer for this when I think about it a little more, but because we've already talked about it, the first thing that came to mind is seeing Eli Roth's Meg. Because when you read that Meg book, you don't really picture Jason Statham and kind of more of a 4-quadrant action film out of it. I would have liked to have seen his darker take on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go sci-fi, and I might be an outlier here, but I would love a Neil Blomkamp's Alien reimagining where he takes off from Alien or Aliens, you know, with Hicks, with Newt, with an older Newt, and with Sigourney Weaver back, and kind of forgetting all the other ones, because I think the diehard fans, including myself, wanted to see that, and we went away from that, and then Ridley Scott comes back and does his Alien movies, and I thought promising with Prometheus, and then went off the rails with Covenant. So
have you watched some of the shorts he's made? Some of them are incredible.
Yes, Blomkamp is.
What's it called? Oats Studios?
Oats Studios. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, but
Right,
you
what
can
are people
find it on
looking at? What are
YouTube,
people
and some of those
I'm
shorts are
flipping off,
incredible.
John.
Yeah. What else is new? They don't call them pit balls for nothing.
Yeah, one of mine that I'm glad we actually finally get a chance to see it 17 years later is Terry Gilliam's The Man Who Killed
Oh, boy.
Don Quixote.
Oh.
And the 2002 documentary,
Wow, with Johnny Depp.
Lost in La Mancha,
Lost in La Mancha.
is amazing, and to see him that he's actually, this is finally happening after all these years. That's
One more,
something
Ken. One more.
One more question. Oh my gosh, we're gonna pick one more question, and this is a follow up on what we talked about today. Let's try to figure this one out. Rattan at the Diz says, out of movies like Stronger and the aforementioned Patriots Day, which method do you prefer in telling a true story, a personal one or a heroic community coming together? What works more? Do you have to choose one or the other? But do you have a favorite of the style, John?
Say the options again. Heroic
He
or?
cites Stronger or Patriots Day.
I would say Stronger.
Stronger.
That appeals to me more personally because you get to experience it more viscerally from the characters who are having the emotional reactions. If you do a community, you could be tempted to broad brush stroke it, and I think there's complexities to these things that can be explored that are more interesting for people to watch and connect to.
If I'm choosing specifically between those two movies, I responded more strongly to Patriots Day. But I don't think you could say that means we always need those community building ways like that to make that kind of story happen on the big screen. And Stronger is still great, too. It was just that specific example. I had the stronger reaction to that one.
Yeah, I don't want to choose because I've had movies where it's a more personal, character-driven kind of experience, and which I love, and then the heroic community come together, save the day kind of thing in like Patriots Day. Between the two, Patriots Day spoke to me the most because it was just a fantastic recreation. I'm also a big fan of like kind of true stories and true, I don't want to say true crime. I am completely into true crime lately, but there's something about Patriots Day. Like I loved the finding them aspect of it as much as I was so involved in the tragedy and the human character tragedy of it. So it just depends on the execution and the story being told.
Yeah, sadly, it might depend on the tragedy. Yeah, as well. Yeah. Anything else?
Absolutely. Or you can do it like James Cameron. Tell a big story and then focus on Rose and Jack.
Yeah, I like that.
If only Rose had
Titanic.
moved over, Jack could have gotten on that. I mean, I'm just, that's my thing with Titanic.
Oh,
all right,
debunked.
well, that is Movie Talk for today. Thanks, everybody, for watching us. Perri, where can they find you?
Twitter and Instagram, Perri Nemiroff.
Mark Reilly.
Twitter and Instagram at Reilly Around. See you there.
My man, Ken
You
Napzok.
can find me at Mark Ellis Live.
And you find me at Snoochie Boochies. Harloff, you can find me there. No, at The Rocha Says. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We will be back tomorrow with another brand new episode of Movie Talk.
Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.